Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. This is a really hard video to make, and not just because, you know, the situation's sad, but it hasn't sunk in for me yet. Like, in my head, Whitney is still here. You know, I'm trying not to accept the fact that she's gone. I did the same thing with Michael and Left Eye when they went too, but, yeah, this is some really sad stuff. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try my best not to turn this into a sappy, sad video, and I'll try to put a little bit more animated commentary in here so it's not depressing. So maybe I should take a break first and come back. So yeah, hold on. So, alright, man, this is such a sad event, and it's like, I don't think people understand. This is Whitney Houston we've lost. Not just anybody, but Whitney Houston. I'm talking about the epitome of vocal excellence, the say-all-be-all when it comes to singing. Like, anybody who considers themselves to be an entertainer, a vocalist, an artist, they cite Whitney Houston as their influence. Like, Whitney Houston is just so great at what she does. Because in my head, she's still here. So she's so great at what she does. And, I mean, she had such an impact. Like, honestly, the impact Whitney had was just crazy. I'm serious. For every little boy that was in their house in their living room dancing that wanted to be just like Michael Jackson, there was a little girl just down the hall in her bathroom mirror with her hairbrush wanting to be Whitney Houston singing in the mirror. Like, that's the impact Whitney had. Like, Whitney just... And what made Whitney great was she appealed to so many different age groups and generations. Not only is this something that's sad for my age group, but it's something sad for my parents' age group, because Whitney was out during their heyday. Like, my mama's deep now. She is Team Jesus all day, so she don't listen to a lot of stuff. But there are 3 people that always have a place in her heart. But actually, maybe 4. That's Luther, Gladys, Patty, and Whitney. And, my mama loved Whitney. God, my mom loved Whitney. Like, my mom even bought 2 copies of The Bodyguard because she wanted 1 copy for both cars. She didn't feel like taking one out and putting it in the other one. Like, when I tell you that Bodyguard soundtrack, we used to have to listen to that every day. Oh, God, on the way to daycare. She would play that album over and over. I'm like, Mama, can we please listen to something else? No, shut up, boy. You need to learn to appreciate stuff. You're going to appreciate this later. I'm like, okay. And Mama, I appreciate it. Thank you. But, God, my mom just loved Whitney Houston and that Bodyguard album. And what's funny about the Bodyguard album, because my mom did just like everybody else does, I think, with this album. You play the first 6 tracks and then you turn it off or you start it over. Because in our heads, the Bodyguard soundtrack is Whitney Houston's album. So we don't care about them other people on the album after track number 6. We get our whole I Will Always Love You and Run to You and Queen of the Night and I'm Every Woman and Run to You and Yes, Jesus Loves Me. And then we're like, that was such a great album. Let's play it again. And we, you know, you forget that, you know, the Soul System had the little Lovely Day song on there. And Lisa Stansfield had Someday I'm Coming Back. But we didn't care because we were talking about Whitney. So, you know, Whitney, God, not my Whitney. Oh, this just hurts my heart. Like, it hurts because I remember watching so many moments. I remember her on the Kids' Choice Awards with Brandy when I was like 7. And I just remember watching The Preacher's Wife. And I wanted her to be that little boy. I think his name was Jeremiah or something. I wanted to be little Jeremiah so bad. I wanted Whitney to be my mom because Whitney just seemed so cool. And she sang to them. And she let them play with the fire truck while they were saying their prayers. And my mama never let me play with no toys while I was praying to Jesus. My mama, boy, that fire truck would have had to come rescue me. But, God, Whitney was just... and that voice was just so angelic and so perfect. And she had such a great catalog of music. Like, you know, of course, there's the I Will Always Love Yous and I Want to Dance with Somebody. But aside from that, Whitney had really great material. I'm talking about Just the Lonely Talking or the Feel So Good. That's off the I'm Your Baby Tonight album, the Japanese release. Feel So Good is such a great song. You should really get into that. Or the Miracle, that song they tried to act like they never released because she was talking about something that was a little bit more controversial. Or, you know, Why Does It Hurt So Bad? And, oh, Whitney was just so... She had such a great catalog of music. If you're not really big on Whitney and you only know her for the I Will Always Love Yous and I Want to Dance with Somebody, you should check out some of her albums. Check out some of her performances. Check out, like, Whitney has performances for days on YouTube. You can just sit there for hours and be like, man, Whitney was great. Like, one of my favorite Whitney performances is when she does Hold Up the Light with BB and CeCe Winans at the NAACP Awards. When I tell you they sang that song down, that light was held up. It went, that light couldn't go no higher. I think they broke the light when it got as high as it could go. The light bulb just broke because they sang that song down. And then when the performance was ending, all of these great leaders in the black community all came on the stage, and they had the little lights, and they was all flashing it, and then Whitney and Natalie Cole started singing together, and Gregory Hines started tap dancing, and Rosa Parks was on the stage, and Jesse Jackson was there, and Jasmine Guy was on the stage. It was such a magical moment, especially for those of us in the black community, because we don't have moments like that on TV anymore. Like, I could go in another direction with this conversation, but I want to keep it on Whitney. And like, Whitney's performance of Why Does It Hurt So Bad, when she got on that white plastic outfit, I don't know what she was wearing, but that's okay. Whitney sang and stumped that foot into that ground while she was on that stool. I don't know who she was singing about. I don't know what Bobby did to her that day, but she wasn't having it. And God, Whitney had so many great ones. Even when she did We Almost Have It All at the VMAs, and me and my friend Danae were laughing about this, and I don't know how this can happen, but Whitney was outside in the cold, or whatever, frost coming out of her mouth, and for some reason she was still sweating while she was singing, hair sticking to her forehead. I said, go ahead, Whitney, you are the only person I know that can sweat in the cold. But man, Whitney was just so great, and she has such a strong legacy, and I love that she had an animated personality, and she kept it real. She wasn't going to sit there and sugarcoat. She was not somebody you could tame and you know, prop up on a chair and make her give a proper interview to all the people watching, because Whitney wasn't having that. Like, her PR probably went crazy, but I love all the different elements of Whitney and her personality. She was very animated, and you weren't just going to talk to her in any type of way. Like, she has so many great what the heck moments. But I love her for those. Other people would criticize her and say, oh my gosh, she's just such a waste, I don't know what's happened to her. But I loved her for each and every one of those moments, because it showed me that Whitney Houston was human, just like me. You know, everything from Diane Sawyer interview to the show me the receipts. Like, if she brought new meaning to the term receipts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch that interview. That's when they tried to talk about how much money she had spent on drugs, and she said, okay, show me the receipts. Now, I don't know how you get receipts for drugs, because I've never done any transactions, and I don't know if they get receipts or not. But Whitney just, God, she just, Whitney, my heart. And the Wendy Williams interview, that crap was so funny. Like, and I mean, it was sad, but it's just hilarious, because Whitney just didn't care. And you know, so Whitney, when there's no one in the house and the managers are gone and Bobby's not there and Dion's out with her friends or whatever, who's in the house? Jesus. Because, you know, Whitney loved Jesus. Everything was Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So I'm like, yes, Jesus loves her. But Whitney just, man, or Whitney, can we ask you about your husband, Bobby Brown's latest arrest? No, you cannot. Or whatever. And then, you know, the reporter's just sitting there looking dumbfounded. Like, oh, what do I say now? Absolutely nothing. Move it right along. But Whitney just, she was so great. And, God, Whitney. And what was good about Whitney was that voice. And people try to say her voice deteriorated, and they try to talk about the drugs and all this other stuff, because, you know, we love to tear down our entertainers after we build them up. But you know what? I don't think that's what made her voice change. I think Whitney's voice changed because she did what she did well. Actually, that doesn't make sense, but I think Whitney's voice changed because it changed while she was always doing something for us. She lost it doing so much singing and touring. That's what it really was. I don't know if you guys ever paid attention, but Whitney went on these extensive 180-day tours, like extensive tours for 2 years at a time, and you're doing a set list for 2 hours. And each and every song in Whitney Houston's catalog is vocally challenging. Whitney Houston doesn't have a song that she can just kind of give a light vocal to and be on her way. Every single song in Whitney's catalog is something that's going to end with a high C over middle E note and a little bit of falsetto, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and some runs and everything else. And just picture Whitney Houston having to do that every single night for 2 hours for at least 180 shows. Like, you know, I really think that's what contributed to her voice changing. Like, I feel like the Bodyguard tour was too long. They dragged it out, and it wore down on her voice. You know, she went on so many tours. Like, Whitney was a touring artist. I think that's one of the reasons why she only had 2 studio albums in the 90s. You know, I'm Your Baby Tonight and My Love Is Your Love. Other than that, you know, she had a few movies and soundtracks in between, but Whitney was always on tour. And when you do tour after tour after tour after tour, and mind you, Whitney's singing live too. Whitney is singing, and you're giving your all each and every night for 2 hours. And look at your set list. Your set list is Didn't We Almost Have It All, Saving All My Love For You, How Will I Know, I Want to Dance With Somebody, Greatest Love of All, I Will Always Love You, Shoot, Why Does It Hurt So Bad, My Love Is Your Love, If I Told You That, same script, different cat. You know, and all these vocally challenging songs, and you do it every single night for 2 hours. What do you think your voice is going to sound like after 20 years of doing that, you know? And yeah, she smoked cigarettes, she did other things, but I think the main reason that voice changed to what it became today was just all that touring. She lost her voice entertaining us. It's not like she was in there with a dang Brillo pad and a toothpick scrubbing her voice and messing it up on purpose, you know. it was like she just, Whitney. But you know, so I think people should really respect the work ethic that Whitney had as far as her touring and what she gave us. You know, people spent so much time criticizing her after 1998 because of her voice starting to change, and I just think it was something that wasn't fair. The reason it got like that is because she was entertaining us. She was in such demand, and she wanted to make sure she could get out to each and every person. And my favorite memory of Whitney was probably when I actually got to see her. I was at BET Honors 2010, and they had honored her. And one of the best moments, which actually didn't make the taping, was the I Look to You album had just went double platinum. And, you know, Neo, and I can't remember if it was Clive Davis, it was somebody. I don't even know if he was there, I can't remember. Gosh. But they had presented her with a double platinum plaque. And as I said, y'all know Whitney loved Jesus. So she got the, oh, my Lord, thank God, Jesus. You know, she was doing all the God, my Lord, God, all day. And she turned that stage into a church altar. I was like, Whitney, that's okay. You have your moment, Whitney. And she was just so down to earth the whole time. People from the balcony were yelling at her like, we love you, Whitney, we love you. And you know, I love all y'all. Yeah, I see you, baby. And like, she was just so real, and that's what made people love her. And she is truly going to be, gosh, it's such a sad thing to see her go. You know, that Heavenly Choir just keeps getting bigger and like larger and larger, and it scares me because I don't like seeing all these entertainers that I grew up on come and go. It tore me apart when Left Eye died, and it hurt so bad when Michael was gone. But now that Whitney's gone, who else do I have left? You know, I mean, I got my people, but it's just like, Whitney, I don't think I know a single person that can say they didn't like Whitney Houston as an entertainer. Maybe there was things about her personality they didn't like, but the actual music, even people that I don't think listen to music, that don't have hearts, like Judge Judy and Nancy Grace, have a Whitney Houston song they like. I'm sorry, Nancy Grace and Judge Judy fans, I like them, but I'm just saying. I'm sure somewhere in their house, they have a Whitney record. And, man, like, Whitney was just so great. And she still is great, because in my head, she's still here at the moment. So, let me stop rambling. Basically, leave your comments. Write what your favorite song was, your favorite moment, your favorite performance, your favorite look. Maybe you want to talk about your favorite wig. Maybe you liked her pre-Pressprint wigs that she used to wear. Just, gosh, I can't believe Whitney's not here. Try to keep the comments positive, because, you know what, out of respect for Whitney, save the arguments and stand wars and whatever else y'all like to do on a normal basis on my videos. Don't do it on this one. Let Whitney be great tonight, okay? I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with the Grammys. I'll probably have another video tonight about the Grammys. Man, but rest in peace, Whitney, and thank you for holding down the fort.